The football community was taken aback when 12 of Europe's biggest clubs decided to break away and form a league of their own, and they are immune to any kind of relegation, unlike domestic leagues. This idea of creating a super league without any consultation from the players, the manager, or the fans has led to protest all over against the owners by the fans. In this video, we not only discuss what a super league is, but why was there a need for such a league to come into place. We also discuss the real problems why the super league was made and why it should not have been. We also discuss the problems of current structure of football and why the super league isn't over. Hello everyone and welcome to Confusion. It's been a really rough week for fans and players alike, and I'm sure it's been the same for club owners as well. They have been under fire by the fans and the football community for carrying out the proposal of a super league. So what exactly is a super league? 12 of Europe's biggest clubs decided to form a league of their own. This league features 6 English teams, 3 Spanish and 3 Italian clubs. Clubs like Arsenal, Chelsea, Liverpool, Manchester United, Manchester City and Tottenham from England, AC Milan, Inter Milan and Juventus from Italy, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid and Barcelona from Spain. However, as it turns out, Bayern Munich and Borussia Dortmund rejected the proposal. So before we dive into the problems with the Super League, let's talk about what exactly it is. The competition format was to involve 10 teams in 2 groups to compete with each other in home and away matches in midweek. At the end of the first round, the first 3 teams who finished in each group would qualify for the quarterfinals. The founder clubs, however, will be immune to any sort of elimination from the competition, irrespective of their form. So this is basically how the whole competition was structured. Now there is no competition without money, right? So the founding members of the Super League were promised 325 million euros to sign up. So let's talk about why. Why do we need another competition when we already have European competitions in place? So let me read out a statement made by the Super League. The European Super League is convinced that the current status quo of European football needs to change. We are proposing a new European competition because the existing system does not work. Our proposal is aimed at allowing the sport to evolve while generating resources and stability for the full football pyramid, including helping to overcome the financial difficulties experienced by the entire football community as a result of the pandemic. So what does this mean? The argument the European super clubs are making currently is basically the finances. They claim that the Super League will help the clubs more financially than any other European competition. And I'm sure they would. I mean, you're anyways getting 325 million upfront just to sign up for a Super League, right? A part of the reason is the pandemic and how financially clubs have suffered because of it, which is quite obvious. So according to them, the sport needs to evolve and to stabilize the football pyramid, which according to them is based on a few selective teams. Florentino Perez, the instigator of the Super League, made this statement. The important clubs of Spain, England and Italy have to find a solution to this very bad situation that football is in. We came to a conclusion that by creating a Super League instead of playing Champions League midweek, we can elevate lost revenue. It is not a closed league. We believe in the merit of teams so that they fight to deserve a play in the competition like this. This statement right here kind of gets you thinking. Like, if you're talking about fair competition, then how can you immune a selective teams just because they are either the founding members or they are the top European clubs? Now let's talk about the real problems. This is there in the news, this is there on blogs and this is there everywhere, but we need to talk about what the real problem behind the scenes. Why is this league being created? Why does Florentino Perez and other owners desperately need a different league? So here are the problems. It's more of a money-minded move to push football to a higher level. I'm sure football will grow, but then again, you are facing the same team week in, week out. So if you're Liverpool and you're facing Real Madrid every other week, it kind of doesn't have that impact which it would have on, say, a European night, maybe after maybe 2 years or 3 years, or even every season. You play a couple of games every season, or you play a couple of games every 2 years. That has an impact of his own compared to you're facing each other every other week or every other every 2 or 3 weeks. So that's kind of crazy, right? You don't need so much of football, given we're already in a moment that we're talking about players fatigue, we're talking about hectic schedules. So the Super League, it doesn't fit anywhere and it doesn't fit properly. So let's talk about what it's all about, because it seems to be more of a money-minded league than, a boon to football, because it does not accommodate a lot of clubs. It's very selective in its approach. It has only a few clubs that are the founding members, and they have been they have been dictating the rules, and they will be dictating the rules in the future as well. So in the context of football, the Super League is clearly not what it looks like. It's more lean towards the revenue than actual football. Since there is no competition, the founding members are guaranteed a spot irrespective of their forms, irrespective of how pathetic they may play, irrespective of their standing on the table. They will not get eliminated anyhow. The Super League also shows lack of respect to European competitions, be it because of the revenues the clubs are not happy with that they generate from European competitions or even domestic competitions, be it the level of exposure the club gets to TV and ad revenue. The reasons are basically endless here. One of the main problems of the Super League is that it has been driven completely by club owners without any consultation from the players, the manager, the staff, the fans, or even the supporters group. So all in all, it's really kind of insulting when you talk about a football as a community, because in football, unlike many other sports, the fans have their own say. The fans kind of dictate, what they want and how they want their clubs to be run. Unfortunately, that may not be same for a selective few clubs, but for most of them, for most of the grassroots clubs, for the history behind the clubs, it's very, very important. Now let's talk about the real reason why the Super League was needed. If you thought this video was going to be another jibber jabber picked up from Wikipedia, then you were wrong. We've got lots more. Florentino Perez, the instigator of the Super League, has his own club, Real Madrid, in debt of over 900 million euros, followed sharply by Barcelona at 1 billion plus euros. Barcelona are literally on the verge of bankruptcy, and more than 74% of the club's expenditure is used for paying players' wages. And the club's former interim president confirmed that they had to delay players' wages. Now, this is despite earning 715 million last season. Barcelona debt is still above 1 billion euros. Not far away are Manchester United with 500 plus million euros in debt. With the Glazers constantly questioned by the Manchester United fans over their business dealings and how they have been running the club, Manchester United's situation is not as good as you'd see in the Premier League table. And I sincerely hope they can remove their debt so that they can make a better website. Now we know why the Super League is so important for a few clubs, because they are in such debt that they really need a way out of it. Huge money signings in recent years with the motive of more TV revenue, more ad revenue, more fans, and of course more t-shirt selling has not only crippled what used to be a good game, but huge money signings with the motive of TV revenue, ad revenue, and of course selling t-shirts has not only crippled the game, but also has cost clubs financially in the long run. Thanks to these big money signings, fans are now easily attracted to big clubs. So in one way, it did work out for them, but it was more like a gamble for them in the long run. Today, we literally have idiots pretending to be fans with their ridiculous opinion over social media just for engagement or just so that some of them can get their monthly checks. This, however, is a topic for another day, so let's just stick to Super League. So honestly, when someone like Perez comes out and talks about how football is not being enjoyed by the younger generation or it needs a huge change, he's not completely wrong, because it's kind of our fault that we have shifted our focus from the beautiful game to this nonsense. For decades, these clubs have been responsible for high-profile signings, splashing cash all over the transfer market to get who they want and when they want, and now their balance sheets have got them in a mess. In reality, the Super League is a brainchild of Real Madrid's president, Florentino Perez. It was instigated to get them out of their debt, to get them out of the sinkhole that they have been digging for so long, and now they're trapped. What's surprising is that Real Madrid and Barcelona are yet to retract their names from the Super League. They haven't done that yet, and they won't likely, for reasons you know now. Clubs like Bayern and Dortmund said no when they were approached for the Super League. Kudos to you guys. And Bayern Munich, seriously guys, keep your hands off Sancho for the moment and let's just leave some kind of competition in Bundesliga. The Super League in some way has insulted fans from all over the football community. Fans all over have been protesting because the game of football is far more than an ATM for the rich and their powerful owners. Some clubs may have forgotten this, but it's really good to see that a lot of them have not. The clubs who were left out and not considered have made themselves heard. Fans across the globe made themselves heard and rallied across the stadiums to make their point. This included fans from the clubs not in the Super League and from the clubs in the Super League. That, however, didn't stop Perez from being himself. Fans held banners, called out their owners because their club and history was being dragged through the mud. And you could even see the protest from the other teams like Leeds, who silently put their opinion about the Super League in the game against Liverpool. From Anfield to Arsenal, Chelsea, Spurs, Manchester United, and wow, it really must be hard to get people there. So in all seriousness, is the blame game only limited to these clubs? I think not. I think football as a whole needs some amendments to be done, and they need to be done right now. From allegation to corruption and misleading finances in UEFA, FIFA, the Premier League as well, poor management of leagues all over, fixture congestions, and of course the unhatched fanboys. The problem lies deeper than just a Super League. If the Super League is cancelled right now, it doesn't mean it's the end of it. There's a lot more. And here's why it isn't over. The debt still hangs. Madrid, Barcelona, Manchester United and other clubs, they still are in debt. Even clubs like Tottenham Hotspur, who have $1 billion stadium, they also need to get their finances in order because the pandemic has affected them as well. These clubs, these owners have tried it once and I'm pretty sure they will try it again. Perez, however, is still adamant that Super League is not over and the clubs cannot resign. If they resign, they'll have to pay severe fines for it, which I just don't get because you haven't even officially launched it yet. You haven't even kicked the ball, and I think for some reason you just see that the guy has literally lost it. The problems that come with modern day football is not just about the fixtures and the finances, but also about the rules and regulations. Modern day football needs better rules, better organizations, better communications among domestic and European leagues, better communication among football clubs as well. The game needs to be more player and fan oriented than money oriented, which it currently is. Players are humans, and worthless and ridiculous competitions drain them before the second half of the season even starts. Fixture congestion. A number of managers have spoken out, Jurgen Klopp in particular, about how difficult it gets at times to avoid injuries and to play games with their full strength. And yet we are nowhere. Other issues like financial fraud, mocking the financial fair play rule, clubs entering administration, going bankrupt, and needless rules like VAR have been overlooked too often. This needs to change. Football needs to be simpler, not complicated. And I haven't even talked about racism at the moment. The biggest problem in football faced today is racism. And it's very unfortunate to see so many fans, players and managers have not come out blazing guns over racism than they have in terms of the Super League, which is kind of very disturbing. These hungry vultures will keep on coming. If not these 12, there will be more. The rules need to be put straight without any special preference to any other club. FIFA and UEFA already have their hands dirty with scams and the inability to punish guilty parties. So here's the problem with the current structure. To be fair, competitions in the Premier League like the Carabao or the FA Cup do not generate enough revenue to keep the bigger clubs in the game. The domestic cups do not help these clubs generate enough revenue, especially when they are so active in the transfer market and have endured huge steps to make the club grow. The accusation against UEFA by some clubs is that the clubs are not being paid handsomely given the kind of revenue the competition generates, which is somewhat fair. So the question is, do they need a change? I think yes. But not by playing more and more games and not by restructuring the whole competition altogether, but taking out the problems, taking out the glitches and working on them. The game as such is obviously beautiful and we love it for a reason, right? But at the end of the day, there has to be some kind of communication, a formal communication among both the European and the domestic leagues to ensure that there are no fixture congestions, there are no financial losses to clubs, and they do not enter administration because of poor management. That's a first, and the financial part is somewhat what the football bodies and the clubs will need to decide on their own depending upon their revenue stream. Till this is sorted and the clubs are ensured high pay, there will always be a Super League threat looming large over our heads. And this isn't over yet. There is no denying that this failed effort of a Super League will be revamped, repackaged, and it will come back to haunt us in the future if we do not make the right decisions right now. Domestic leagues and UEFA aren't the victims here, to be really honest, so don't feel bad for them because they are a part of the problem. From lack of action on racism to poor communication among each other, not to forget the mockery of financial fair play with the rich, wealthy and spineless clubs have made fun of. The introduction of unpolished technology like VAR has done more harm to the game than good. The constant negligence of poor referee decisions that have turned around games, especially in England, has gone unpunished. The referees have literally got away every single time without any severe permission or repercussions. I think we can make an entire video on how ridiculous VAR and referees, especially the English referees, are, but let's just keep it for some other time. If you guys want us to make a video of it, please leave a comment here. So what can we as fans do? We need to be better, first of all. We really need to be better fans. We need to appreciate the game. Being a football fan is far more than just football banter. It's more than a desperate call for engagement on Twitter. It's far more than that. It's far more than that to prove that your club has a history or it doesn't have a history. It's far important to know where you're coming from, why you're supporting your club first of all. Move away from the 12-year-olds on Twitter who are literally doing nothing but abusing players, who are making a mockery of their own club. There's more to football than just rants. There's more to life than just social media engagements. Focus on real issues like racism. Make sure that your club gets a note of it and they take strict action. Apparently, whatever is happening in the football world is not enough to tackle the issue of racism. Unfortunately, online harassment and abuse comes along with it. It can be directed to you or any particular player, and this needs to stop. You need to voice your opinion in these cases louder than you did for the Super League. That's what makes you a real fan. Stand up for a player's poor treatment, for congested fixtures, for a complete disregard of players' physical and mental health, especially during these tough times, while focusing on ridiculous cup competition that won't even attract fans anymore. Football is more than just banter and money, it's a way of life. In the end, have some class. For some, it may be a rarity, something unheard of, maybe something difficult, but it's not impossible. If you call yourself a football fan, then respect the game. Put your opinions across, but there's a way to do it. You can't talk about mental health and at the same time abuse players for their individual mistakes in a random game. That's not how it works. That's not how football works. It's not like you haven't made a mistake in your own life. And honestly, you don't have any right to abuse any player. Sitting on your beanbag with a mac veggie stuffed in your mouth and fries on your belly. So be a better fan. Football needs better fans. So now at the end, it's all about a matter of time. When will this Super League be back? When will someone like Perez come with another plan to ruin the game? Will there be another competition? Will there be a competition that will be choked off? But what the fans and the players did recently speaks louder than anything has ever happened in football. They have stood together. They have stood against, I can say, capitalism, to be really honest, in football, because that's not the way our sport should be working. So kudos to you guys, kudos to all the fans, kudos to every single one associated with football. Even this guy made some sense finally. So if he can, I'm sure you can too. So here's me signing out. So I hope you like the video and I hope you appreciate the efforts being put to make this video. So just to help me out here, please click on the subscribe button, and if you like the video, click on like. If you are a 12-15-year-old, hit the dislike button. Doesn't matter, to be honest. Leave a comment if you want any particular video from us. Leave a comment just like that, just to say hi as well. Hope to see you soon. Thank you.